Good morning, everyone. On this Tuesday the 15th of March, and the people through the room from me here are setting up for Cafe Connect. So if you'd like to come and join us for coffee, be more than welcome. Or perhaps join me or come on your own into the worship area to our reflection space. This is new this year. It's a reflection space that's been set up for all the weeks of Lent. Time to come and sit with a few little bits, some things to do, some things to take away, some things to ponder. We've got the little stones, a nice peaceful scene. The theme this week is peace, and peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you, from John 14. And a little activity if you wish to take it on, the dove of peace within a circle, just to show us that we, perhaps in our working and in our crafting, we can spend time also praying as we do so, with every link that holds peace in place. Perhaps our prayer for peace in a world that needs to be held in God's hands and in faith and in love, for there's so much hatred and war going on. And so this space is available every morning during the week of Lent, and also Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday evenings, most weeks, to come and be quiet. Certainly be quiet if you can't speak and you lose your voice, but that's not part of the parcel and not part of the plan, sorry. But I also decided to come into the worship area specifically today, because I don't know how many of you keep diaries. I don't particularly keep a diary. I have a diary of what I meant to be up to each day, and if I remember to look at it, then that's always a bonus, especially if I've remembered to put into that diary everything that I'm meant to be doing. But it doesn't take too many brain cells to look back 2 years and remember that this is the time, the period when everything just closed down. On the 15th of March in 2020, we had a fellowship meal after church. 40, 50 folk gone off to have a lunch and a chat and a great time, great social time. And in my diary after that, well, it just doesn't look so good. On the Tuesday the 17th, 2 years ago today really, I have in my diary first 10 a.m. reflection. And that was when I came into the church building, having heard so much about what was going on about pandemic, and realising that things were going to change drastically, when restaurants had been told to shut, and when we knew very well that the chances of having our worship as normal the coming week or weeks thereafter was going to be incredibly unlikely. And so it turned out to be. And I came in on that Tuesday morning realising that the shutdown, the closing down, the restrictions were just coming in thick and fast, and wondered, what do we do? Coming into an empty church is what? It can be very peaceful for reflection. It can be very peaceful when you know that that's your choice and that others can come and join you. But when I was doing that first reflection on that first Tuesday, it was a weirdly eerie space of silence. People afraid to move around, people unsure of what was coming next. And looking back over 2 years, I'm not sure that any of us can, in just a few words, describe what happened in those 2 years. It can be actually quite difficult to recall, to look back and remember how we felt when everything actually happened. And that's why diaries perhaps are useful, to look back at the dates and to look back at what was actually happening and what we personally were doing. Perhaps that then helps us to realise what it was that we were thinking. My thoughts as I gave that first reflection, I do remember some of them. I couldn't tell you what that first reflection was. I think it was some comforting words from Psalms and all about our faith and how God held us. I hope it was anyway. But what I do know was that I had propped up on a lectern my phone, or I think it was the iPad at that point, trying to do Facebook Live for the first time in my life, not really sure what it meant, what it was, what it did, and standing there wondering, was this going anywhere? Would anyone hear? Would anyone want to hear? Wondering how it was that we were going to keep communications going. Wondering what would happen when they realised that on Sunday, the Sunday following, there would be a live stream service from church with no one else there. And that shortly after that, there would be live stream services from the manse. Each one of us in our own home. Each one of us worshipping not on our own, but by ourselves. How did that feel? How was that awfulness conveyed into what we did and how we reacted and how we responded? Looking at my diary, it says on Sunday the 22nd, the first empty church live stream. Well, we had a few of those thereafter, not completely empty. We had the live streamers at the back, at the AV desk. We all kept our distance from one another. We all sanitized our hands at every moment, and we all left to go back to our homes, wondering what the next week would bring. What got you through? What brought you through those times? Other people? Most definitely. People who picked up that phone regularly, and thanks to so many in the church who did that, who kept in touch with others. But also, of course, being held by hands that we know may be invisible, but are strong and gentle. Hands that we couldn't feel, but we experienced in such amazing ways. 2 years on, and we stand within another disaster, tragedy, catastrophe, as the war in Ukraine rages on, showing no signs of letting up, only going to get worse perhaps, and wondering what it is that we can do, wondering what it is that we can do to help others now, others from different countries, others who are not able to go into their own homes, to return to their own families. How do we help? What do we do? This is another way forward that is a journey into the unknown, and yet we travel again, all in the hands of the God who knows us well. And a journey into the unknown perhaps shouldn't scare us quite as much as it did, but I'm sure we'll still feel that anxiety as we seek ways to help, opening up our homes perhaps, providing support and encouragement, doing all that we can for those who can escape and who come to this country, to this town, to this place. Looking back, what I hope and pray we find in spades is a strength and a resilience which has been battered, is hard to find perhaps, but that we will also know even more the assurance that the one who died on the cross, the one who came to bring peace, the one who came to show God's love is for each and for all creation, is there in the midst and has never been anywhere else. That no matter where we've been physically, emotionally, or spiritually, our God has been there with us. And that promise and assurance continues. During Lent, we have a journey to draw close to God and closer to God, to investigate and to reflect on our own faith. Within this period and this season of Lent, we also again need to look to the community around us and the community further away this time too, and work out ways that we can help. What will we need? We'll need the support of one another, for no one person can do this on their own either. And whether we're hosting or supporting or encouraging or praying. We need to know that we are one community with God. What do we need to know? We need to know that the peace that passes all understanding, the peace that the world cannot give, is also ours. However we can help, whatever it is that we individually and as a church and community are called to do in this awfulness of war, let's do it together. Because my diary, as we go through these 2 years, tells me that we managed, that we coped, that we had our ups and downs, good days and bad, but that we had each other, and we've got our God. We're approaching not just Lent, but we're approaching the season of Easter, the celebration of resurrection, which is what we are celebrating every Sunday of the year in worship. We're celebrating the resurrection and that we have a living God, a living faith. We need to make sure that we live that living faith well, that we bring that living hope to others, and that we share all that we can, all that we have, and all that we are. For this world is in need, and it needs us, you and me. This isn't intended to bring anyone down. This reflection isn't intended to be so serious that people get depressed, but quite the opposite. Because the sureness, the surefire assurance, confidence and strength that we have in God has been proven again and again and again. And we must use that for the good of all creation. If you come into the church to reflect, or go into the countryside, sit in your lovely warm armchair, wherever you can reflect, give thanks that our God knows us and loves us. Give thanks that that same God is in the midst of war in Ukraine. Give thanks that same God is in the midst of famine in Yemen. In every conflict and every need, our God is there. And give thanks that our God is with us. In church, in the countryside, in our homes, in our need, in our plenty, in our faith. Give thanks. And the peace of God be with you and with all, today and always. Amen.